first time I saw this 2003 Oxford White Mustang Mach 1 was on a Craigslist ad in Las Vegas. The car was down there with a leaking transmission. It was making some noise in the valve train, and whoever had it was ready to get rid of it. It had like 117,000 miles on it, so it was relatively low for what it was, and the guy wasn't asking very much for it. He had changed the wheels on it, but the seats looked good, and the rest of the car was actually in pretty good shape, and I considered buying the car. I looked at it off and on and kind of considered it, tossed the idea around. I had already bought my red Mach 1 recently, and so I wasn't really looking to buy another Mach 1 at the moment. But I definitely considered it because I like the car a lot. I like Mach 1s in white. I think the contrast is really nice with the black stripes and everything. The car eventually sold, and what I didn't know was it just went about 10 minutes away from me in a neighboring town to a young guy who was just out of high school, and he had gone down and trailered the car home, and then he asked to join the Facebook page that I have here in town with all my friends with muscle cars, and that's how we got to know each other. I saw a picture of it when they went to a first meet that I wasn't able to go to, and I thought, hey, look, there's that white Mach 1. I wonder how it got here. So this guy's brother had a dark shadow gray GT, which is the one on the left, and his friend had bought an '04 silver GT, which is the one on the right, and they got the cars together, had fun, started driving it around. Although the Mach 1 did make some noise in the engine, so he did get to the point where he had to tear it down, and he actually ended up taking the engine out and rebuilding it. And his high school auto shop teacher, who owns the Fox body in the middle there that's supercharged, he helped him out a little bit in the process, and eventually they got the engine torn down, and they found two things. The first thing they found as they were taking the engine out was this plaque that was on the side of the block. And this little plaque, I've seen this before on my cousin's Bullet. It's a little plaque that has silicone on the back that's been glued onto the block that says that it was an authorized remanufactured engine from Ford. So Ford had taken this engine before and had to rebuild it. And this was done in 2007. The other thing they found, unfortunately, was a lot of metal shavings in the engine. So that's really unfortunate. So they got the car all put back together and they got it running, and he added some long tube headers and some things to make it run a little bit better, a little faster, and then he was back on the road with his friends and with me as well. And here's a picture of his rear seat. He actually bought a rear seat delete from Danny Johnson, and he put that in there. And then it was just back to having the car on the road and enjoying it. Now, something rare about this car that I've talked about before, if you look at the seats here, look at those small headrests. This was a non-IUP car. So that made this car a Oxford White, which was already pretty low production, and a non-interior upgrade package, which is the only option besides the automatic or manual transmission that is offered on the Mach 1. So this car was pretty rare because most of them came with the IUP package. So he bought a set of the bigger headrests from Danny Johnson, but he never really installed them. So now he was able to enjoy the car, and he even found the original window sticker, which is something that I love to find in Mustangs if I ever do. I'm very happy when I find those. And if you look on this, it shows that there is no interior upgrade package listed on the options, and there's a California equipment option. So it shows the car was actually from California. So originally it was from there, and then it ended up in Las Vegas. So he bought some things for it, like a different style front splitter. And I remember he was asking me, he's like, what do you think of this? And I didn't really love it, but you know, it looked alright. At least the car had it on there now. And his brother ended up selling his dark shadow gray GT and bought this Audi, which is a nice car, and those are very quick cars and everything. But I remember he was telling me that they went out and raced, and that the Mach 1 just gapped the Audi, just really ran it hard. So that was fun to hear. So then it was on to just enjoying the car. We had a lot of meetups where we'd get together and go for cruises and stuff. He had other friends who had a Corvette and some other fast cars too. He had a little motorcycle and stuff, but he took pride in owning the car. If you notice in this picture, it has the Mach 1 Blackout Panel. It's not Plastidip. That's the actual nice plastic panel, the honeycomb that you can get from Late Model Restoration or American Muscle or any of those places. And he told me that his brother had got that for him for his birthday or for Christmas. And I really like those panels. I bought the one for my red Mach 1. It was something I always wanted to do, but I never had the heart to put it on my blue Mach 1 because the paint was so perfect. And even though the paint was really nice on my red Mach 1, I wanted to put the panel on too. So I had been there, I had wanted this for my car. And I had even added a 40th anniversary plaque that came on the 40th anniversary package GT and V6 Mustangs. This little dash plaque was actually down by the shifter bezel there, and this is what it looks like on the shifter bezel of the car. And you could only get that plaque on the 40th anniversary cars, and so to get one you have to get one off of a shifter bezel from a wrecked one or something. You can't buy them from Ford anymore, but that's a little side note. We'll get into that when I have the story about my red Mach 1. But just a little detail about these panels since we're talking about them. These were offered on the 99 GT 35th anniversary car. And when I say 35th anniversary cars, I don't mean every V6 or GT Mustang that came with the 35th anniversary badge on the fenders. I'm talking about the 35th anniversary package car. Like this one here, you can see that it has the side skirts that kind of twist towards the back, the hood scoop that looks like an 01 to 04 GT hood scoop, but it's not. It slants down towards the back. The headlights were like the 01. The spoiler looks like the 01 to 04 GT, but it's flat on the top. And the seats are even different in these cars. And you can see the door panels have some silver in there. Danny Johnson has a great video about these 35th anniversary package cars. So if you want to watch that, I'll put a link in the description. But anyway, these cars, as you can tell, had this blackout panel between the taillights on the GTs. And if you look at these panels, the part on the right that would have the Ford logo on it and the middle part that goes where the license plate would go, those two parts, if you turn them around, have a Ford logo and a Ford part number on them. But the part on the left that says Mach 1 on it is a reproduction piece by another company where they have copied the other one and made it fit for the Mach 1. If you look at the letters surrounding the Mach 1 letters, it's actually smoothed out and it's molded to fit the Mach 1 letters. On the 35th anniversary GT, it's a GT badge there. And an even more detailed thing about that is behind that GT badge I've seen a screw, so I don't know if the factory did that or if it was just that way. And so these panels are really neat. They're from the 99 GT 35th anniversary package, although they are made to look like the 70 Mach 1. And so it's really neat that another company took these and actually made them so that they would fit on the Mach 1, which is where they really should be anyway. And as a matter of fact, his blackout panel on his car that we're talking about ended up on my yellow Mach 1. We're going to talk about how that happened here just in a minute. So next, he changed the wheels out from the ones that were on it. I'd say it was about an equal trade. I didn't really care for them that much. I think that the Mach 1 should have Mach 1 wheels on it. Here's a little picture here of when he happened to come across this other white Mach 1 that's in town, which I've done a story about. Actually, it's really funny. In this story, where there's a few Mach 1s that appear from other stories that I've done already. But there's a nice Oxford white Mach 1. It was actually not so nice. It was pretty battered if you watch my other video about it. But he was going through town, he saw it there, got out and got a picture of them together. So I thought that was really cool. I like seeing that picture on his Instagram. And then he'd have the occasional gas station fill-up pictures and the Ford dealership pictures like these right here. These are some of my favorite. I like going to the Ford dealership. It has nice lighting at night. I take pictures of my cars there too. So he got it up to 120,000 miles now and just really enjoyed the car, taking pictures of it. It was looking pretty good. But if you notice something funny in all these pictures of the car, and when I mean funny, I mean interesting, not ha-ha funny like this dog that's staring at you in the picture funny. But funny as in what's missing on that Mach 1, it's looking a little funny. There's a couple things. The hood stripe's missing, but the shaker is gone. So I asked him, when are you ever going to put the shaker back on? Because I know he had taken it off for the engine rebuild and everything. And he said, dude, my roommate threw it away. I couldn't believe that when I heard that. Are you kidding me? Your roommate threw away the shaker to your car? He said, yeah, I had moved out and he got mad at me and this and that. And he said that he'd have it for me when I came back, and he didn't get back to it soon enough, so his friend just threw it in the trash can, along with the stock manifolds and some other Mach 1 parts that I was pretty upset about him losing. But on a positive note, he was able to acquire some stock OEM Mach 1 wheels for the car. This is exactly what I would have done with the car. I love these wheels. They're called the Heritage wheels. Looking back here at the window sticker, it's under the standard vehicle equipment. That's the Heritage 17 wheels on the bottom there. Um, these wheels look the best on the car. All three of my Mach 1s have the OEM wheels on them, but my red Mach 1 came with Saline wheels on it, and it was really important to me to get those Heritage wheels back on the car. My friend and I talked a lot about how bad he wanted those Mach 1 wheels back on his car, and how happy I was to get them on mine. It was a conversation that we had several times. I remember buying all the tires and acquiring wheels, getting some of them off my blue Mach 1 because I had put the AFS ones on the back and stuff. But anyway, he now had a set of OEM Mach 1 wheels, and I saw the car that these came off of, which was really interesting. Down in Vegas, there was a blue Mach 1 for sale, and it had black wheels on it. And he called that guy and said, hey, do you happen to have your stock wheels? And he said, yeah, I do, and I'm selling the car anyway, so come down and get them. So he got them for a great price. So now it was really starting to look like a Mach 1 again. And I love white Mach 1s with the stock wheels. I just love all the Mach 1s with stock wheels. I think they look great. But anyway, he went ahead and changed the head unit out for the stereo. Here he is with another Mach 1, which I had talked about in my other story. He had seen this Mach 1 in town, and he parked by it and took a picture and got another picture of the car. And you can see that the paint's peeling on it, on the bumpers and the hood and everything. This car sits out a lot. Um, I had a story about this. It used to be my friend's car when it had 60,000 miles on it, and now it's owned by a lady that lives in a neighborhood that I used to live in, and so I've seen it around. But anyway, I'm not sure if he was just not happy with the car because of all the stuff it's been through and the engine and everything. I don't know if he ever felt like it ran the way he wanted it to, but he had put it for sale, and it sat for sale for a long time. His friends even joked every time he posted a picture. He said, hey, is that Mach 1 that's for sale? And he wasn't really asking much for it. But now this is where the story has an interesting twist. If you remember the story of the dark shadow gray Mach 1 that my friend had, it's a beautiful car, 50,000 miles or so on it. I really like this car, and it was very unfortunate because if you recall in the other story, this car was driving in the rain with his dad, and it hydroplaned and crashed into a barrier and just totaled the whole car. Really sad. Um, you can see how terrible it looks now. Man, that was such a sad day. Well, anyway, this put my other friend in a position where he was looking for another Mach 1. And he always wanted a white Mach 1 because his dad had a white Mach 1, a 69. And I remember seeing this car in person when I went up there and was getting parts off of the Bullet. And I remember him pulling the cover off and showing me that this Mach 1 was sitting there like that. So he always wanted a white one, and I can see why. It's like a father-son type of thing. So he ended up coming down and buying the Mach 1 from my friend. It's about a 4-hour drive down here where I live, and so he came down, and if you remember, he had the dark shadow gray Mach 1 that was wrecked, and from that story, I tell about how I came to visit him when I bought my yellow Mach 1. This is the day I bought my yellow Mach 1. I went to visit him because he was going to junk the Bullet that's to the left of this car here, and he said, anything you want, come get it because it's going to the junkyard. So I got some things off the Bullet, and then he decided then he was going to part out his Mach 1. And I could tell he was really upset at the time. He was really broken about his Mach 1 being totaled, and he was trying to be nice to me and, everything. And he said, look, take anything off my Mach 1 if you want it. And I said, you know, actually my spoiler on my Mach 1 is cracked in 2 places. And he's like, hey man, just take the one off mine, just trade me, and I'm probably going to part out this Mach 1 anyway, so you can take the nicer spoiler. These spoilers are actually matte black. They're not gloss black. They're not painted like a normal car would be black. I took his Mach 1 spoiler and put it on my yellow Mach 1. And so when he got this white one, he realized that the spoiler had been painted gloss black and he didn't like it, and he asked me if he could have it back. And I was okay with that because he was so willing to give the spoiler to me in the first place. I said, go ahead and take it back. And so he had taken the spoiler back, we switched them back, so now my yellow Mach 1 received the gloss black spoiler from the white one. And I knew he kind of felt bad about taking it back, and he also asked for the 6-disc CD player that I actually had taken from his Mach 1 as well, that he had given me. He wanted those things back for his car because he wasn't planning on having to get another Mach 1 that would need those things. And so he was like, you know what, I have this honeycomb panel on the back of this car. I don't really care for it. If you like it, because you have it on your red car, you can have it for your yellow one. And I was excited about that because the previous owner of my Mach 1 had plasti-dipped that area between the taillights, and it didn't have the actual honeycomb panel. And the Mach 1 letters were on somewhat crooked, so it looked pretty sloppy, and they weren't in the right location at all. So I was going to have to take all those off. I was going to have to reposition them. I wasn't sure whether I was going to re-plasti dip it or just take all the dip off. It looked good from a distance, but up close you could tell it was messed up. So I was actually really happy that he gave me those panels. I wasn't expecting that at all. That was very nice of him. So that's the story of how his honeycomb panel ended up on my yellow Mach 1. So anyway, we spent a little time together talking cars and hanging out, and we looked at his car. I hadn't seen it a whole lot. I had driven this white Mach 1 before, and we had been to a couple meets together, but I didn't really get to see it up close in good lighting or anything. And I was curious about his car, so I jumped underneath it and looked at the engine. I was curious about this remanufactured engine that he had and the parts and everything, and so looking under, you could see the bottom of the cylinder heads, and he had painted them blue in the timing cover. But if you look at the cylinder head, on the top left there, it's upside down because this is the passenger side, I believe, but it actually says DC at the very end of that. Now the reason why that is significant is because the early 03 Mach 1s had 4 threads per spark plug hole on the heads for the spark plugs to go in, and the later ones had 9 threads. The 9-thread heads are known as DB casting, and so these are actually DC casting, which is even later. That would be 2005 or later for 4-valve heads. So I found that really interesting. I was curious whether that was something that had happened before. My assumption is that it either had head problems before and the recall made it so that they had to have the heads replaced, or it could have even been that remanufactured engine from 2007. Ford may have just put the better revised heads on it. So it actually has really good cylinder heads on the car. So he left my house. We talked for a long time. We were looking and comparing our cars and everything. He got the car home and he started playing around with it. He took the radio out. He didn't like how it was wired up or anything, and he put his stock radio back in it. And these are just some of the pictures of when he got the car. He got it next to his dad's Mach 1 and compared the stripes and everything. His dad has the red stripes on it. But so here's the car. It looked really good. And so now it came time for him to put his Mach 1 letters back on the car and on the trunk lid. And he asked me how to do it. I gave him the Mach 1 letters off of my yellow one since he had given me the deck lid panel that had the Mach 1 letters on it already. And so I told him when I did my bullet, I had laid down some masking tape, which you see in these shows on when they paint cars and they want a good straight line, Chip Foose and everybody puts masking tape down. And I had done that with my bullet to get my bullet badge straight, and I even used a new bullet badge above it to get the spacing right. And as far as he was concerned, he had his gray Mach 1 at home to go off of that still had the Mach 1 letters on the trunk lid. And so he got the masking tape out and everything, and he got his all lined up right and got the letters on straight. And he was so happy to have a Mach 1 again, and a white one as well. He has friends up there with Cobras and stuff. I know them too. But anyway, he just really got to enjoy the car again. Took it for some nice drives up in the hills. Here's a couple of pictures of a really nice place that he took the car, and he took these pictures and showed it and everything. And nice sunset evening drive, and he got the mileage up a little bit to 123,000 now, and just really enjoyed the car, and he's taken really good care of it. Now the next thing he did that I really liked is he put those deep dish wheels on the back. If you look at those wheels, they are the Mach 1 wheels, but they are deeper and wider. And these wheels are made by a company called AFS. And these wheels are extremely hard to find now. They are out of production, and if you have a set of them, you're going to have people always asking you to sell them. And he had bought a set of these for his gray Mach 1. So these are off of his gray Mach 1, and he had paid over $1,000 to get those two rear wheels because he wanted them so bad. And I know exactly what he went through. I really like these. I have them on two of my Mach 1s, on my blue one and my red one. I had bought these new from AFS right before they went out of production. So I got a brand new set. It was probably one of their last sets of rear 17 by 10.5 wide wheels. And they just make the car look awesome. I was really lucky to get a set for my red Mach 1 as well. But anyway, these wheels are awesome. Everybody loves them. And I think it's great that he was able to keep those from his other car. So the next thing he did was he put a hood stripe on it, which I think totally finishes off the look of the car. This is necessary in my opinion. Some Mach 1 owners take the hood stripe off and even the side stripes. They think that it looks good, but I really think that that stripe going down the middle really accents the hood. The hood comes up like it does on the GTs, and then it comes up again, and then it has the shaker, and I think that stripe right down the middle is just necessary. It really puts the slope of the hood in context, everything. I really love the stripe, so I think he did a great job. Here's the before and after. And something you'll notice is he has a shaker on the car again. He took the shaker from his gray Mach 1 that was wrecked, and he was able to put it on there. And so then there was a shop up there that was just setting up a new dyno, and he was able to go put the Mach 1 on the dyno. It put down 270 of the wheels. Now 270 is about what a stock Mach 1 would put down, 280, but he had said that the dyno wasn't really calibrated and that they weren't sure if that was an accurate number. And I remember the previous owner to him, my other friend, had asked him, what did it put down? And he was like, well, 270, but I think it's really more like 300. And so the car is actually running pretty good. As a matter of fact, he even took it to the races somewhere in Mexico, and he raced a GTI. Okay, I know that GTI was no match for a Mach 1. I just think that's funny because my friend at work has an '09 GTI and he calls it a nerd mobile, and he's always like, man, I didn't buy this car to be fast. It's not like it was something really performance driven. It was a decision he made because it was practical. But anyway, from here on out, it was meetups. This is a meet he had with a Screaming Yellow Terminator, which is a guy I know, and an Azure Blue Mach 1. That's actually an automatic car. So that's pretty interesting because you don't see too many automatic Mach 1s. But, you know, here he is meeting up and having a good time. He does a lot with the Facebook page up there in the northern part of the state. And there are quite a few of those guys that meet up with New Edge Mustangs, and that's pretty cool. It's, like I said, about 4 hours away, so I don't really make it up that way very much. But anyway, so he got a 99 Cobra front bumper, or '01. It looks like that's a mineral gray one from a 2001 Cobra, but I don't know if he's had that on yet or painted or anything. I haven't seen any updates of that, but here's just some cool pictures of a meetup and a really cool picture of his car next to his dad's white Mach 1 now. So I'm sure he's real thrilled about that, and I'm happy to see this car in good hands. He's very happy with it. I know he wanted a white one really bad, so that's the story of this Mach 1. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the video and being on the channel. Please subscribe if you're not already on here. Like the videos so they get shared and other people can have these recommended as a good video. And thanks for your support. Everybody who has nice comments and everybody that's always supporting me, I really appreciate it. And I'm thankful for the friendships I've made with all you car guys. I've had a lot of people with New Edge Mustangs get in contact with me and message me, and we've had a lot of fun. I've even met in person with quite a few of you. So thanks for watching. I'll put a link up here to the Mustang Stories series that I have, and there are a lot of Mach 1 stories, Terminators, mostly New Edge stories, a couple SN95s, but most of these cars are cars that I know personally and that I've owned and that my friends have had, and so enjoy.